America has symbolically ended its war in Afghanistan today. Its top general has stepped down from command, but there's no ending the war and the violence. Over the weekend, India decided to call back 50 officials from Kandahar. The Taliban is at the doorstep of this city. The Indian consulate is still operating, but the security situation is worsening, and it makes all the sense in the world to bring officials to safety. In the last 2 months, the Taliban has doubled the number of districts under its control. Look at the map on your screen. In mid-April, the Taliban was in control of 77 districts. By the end of May, that's after the US troops began to leave, almost 100 districts had fallen to the Taliban. Now we're in the month of July. The Taliban now effectively controls more than 200 districts. And this trend is expected to continue. The Taliban have recruited new allies from Pakistan and China. Terrorists from Pakistan are fighting alongside them in Afghanistan. And mediators from China want to champion their cause. The Taliban has promised security to Chinese assets. The trio, the Taliban, Pakistan and China, coming together spells bad news for India. Tonight we'll tell you how America's mistakes are giving birth to a new security nightmare for India and the world. We begin with the latest. India has temporarily withdrawn its diplomatic staff from Kandahar, but the consulate has not been closed. There are 15 to 20 local officials who are still working at this mission. Earlier this year, India had called back its diplomats from its consulates in Herat and Jalalabad. So Kandahar is the third mission to witness an evacuation. Earlier today, we spoke to Bahir Ahmadi, the spokesperson for the Kandahar governor. He told us why the evacuation was necessary.
I can tell you, assure that the place where the Indian consulate is located is safe and sound, and there is no problem. But yeah, since 4 and 5 days, the situation was a little bit critical, and the fighting was near, at least 3 kilometers far away from the Indian consulate. Due to some circumstances, the Indian consulate have decided that they should take out their diplomats to the Kabul.
The fighting was happening just 3 kilometers away from the Indian mission. 3 kilometers, that's how close the Taliban were to the consulate. On Friday, terrorists entered the main city. And this is significant also because of Kandahar's history. In the 1990s, Kandahar served as the headquarters of the Taliban. At the time, it had introduced a strict form of Sharia law on the locals here. Formal education for children was banned, and regressive restrictions were imposed on women. Of course, India remembers Kandahar for different but equally painful reasons. In December 1999, the hijacked Indian Airlines Flight 814 was taken to Kandahar. The plane with the passengers was held hostage at the Kandahar International Airport. It was released only after India handed over 3 Pakistani terrorists from its custody. So a recapture of Kandahar could mean the return of the same oppressive and terrorist regime. Afghan special forces are trying to push them back. They've been moving from one area to another to clear the Taliban terrorists out. Meanwhile, India is trying to reshape its strategy. In view of this changing situation, there are efforts to back-channel with the Taliban. India hasn't confirmed this, but there's enough to suggest that India wants a diplomatic solution to the Taliban problem. Reports say that at the United Nations, India backed America's call to exempt 14 Taliban leaders from a travel ban. This happened last month. India chairs the Taliban Sanctions Committee of the United Nations. This committee follows and acts against Taliban attacks in Afghanistan. Now, as the head of this committee, India agreed to a 3-month-long exemption for Taliban leaders. And this exemption allowed the likes of Mullah Baradar to travel and participate in peace talks. In hindsight, though, the peace dialogue was an exercise in futility. There is no peace. The Taliban wants power by force. It has dumped diplomacy to launch more attacks. Today, terrorists from the Taliban surrounded Ghazni. It's a strategically located city. Ghazni, it connects Kabul to Kandahar. Now, reports say the Taliban has been taking over homes of civilians. Meanwhile, the Americans continue to leave the mess behind. Today, the top US general in Afghanistan stepped down. This is General Austin Miller. He will leave as the longest-serving senior officer of America in Afghanistan. By now, virtually all American soldiers, contractors and equipment have left. America's European allies have also almost completed their exit. And as they leave, They're discussing the situation on the ground. In Brussels today, European foreign ministers are meeting to discuss Afghanistan. Also tracking these developments is China. You see, the US has left the door wide open for China to step in, and Beijing is seizing the moment. On Sunday, the Global Times ran this story. It's about Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi's visit to 3 neighbors of Afghanistan. Which are these neighbors? Turkmenistan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. Now, China is trying to position itself as the Afghan mediator, and Beijing has deployed its state mouthpiece to build momentum for this. This piece quotes an expert, who called China a guarantor of security in the region. That's how they're pitching themselves, the guarantors of security. China wants to play a more hands-on role in Afghanistan. Until now, it has been operating through Pakistan, which is a country that still continues to be a sanctuary for terrorists of Taliban. So I'll end where I began. As India tries to secure its interests, the going is only getting tougher for it. This is a major security challenge that everyone could have done without. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.